Are there any security concerns for you, like leading up to this? Have you talked to your team about, like, watching your back a little differently? He's obviously made some serious threats. Ariel Hall 1 was even saying, like, hey, we're worried about how this can go down. Where's your head at? That's just all noise?
I don't know. I don't think so. The guy wants a real war outside of the cage, so if he wanted, he would be dead already.
It's so hard to even think anybody could stop Khamzat right now.
If I was going to make an argument against it, I would say he's handling guys that don't have a big background in elite wrestling. Kamaru Usman, short notice fight that Kamaru took at 185, and in the third round, Kamaru was winning. Where with everybody else, Khamzat basically ragdolls him. Ken Strickland stopped the takedown.
You're not even going to get to throw hands with him. He's just going to be smiling, laughing. You think he's going to take you down and manhandle you like no one's ever been manhandled before.
Khamzat and Strickland, a really interesting fight. You're going to know real soon.
I'm gonna be trying. You gonna be trying? Don't worry, all the goats are safe. Jab, shoot, jab, shoot. Oh, shit, the cover's acting up. Am I lying? Yeah, I've had COVID like 5 times. I even see it.
I said not face.
No face off.
Why? No face.
Face off with him. Yeah, he said no.
Why?
What, on the weigh-in? He didn't say what, he just said no face off.
No, not on Paramount.
Before.
Yeah.
He knows answer will jump.
Yeah, with the circle thing?
He don't have any friends. Yeah, just maybe one coach there, we all jump on him and he will run away. Always Monday morning session a little bit hard, so hope so good and be better tonight.
Now I know he went up to 185 and did some big things, but I don't think he beats Strickland. I don't think so.
What? That is a wild take.
I'll bet.
Yo, that's a wild take.
I'm dumping the house on Strickland on that one.
That's a wild take.
I'm gonna put
really?
like 100 bands, and I don't even think Chimaev fights him because they've trained a lot.
This is a wild take.
You'll see
man.
you'll see my I'm fucking prize picks. I put up 100 bands of my own money. I'm gonna go whap. That's how confident I am. Strickland beats him.
Dude, that would be huge for his legacy if he beats a guy like Khamzat.
He beats him.
Holy shit! Really?
It's a bad style for him. I've seen Sean go with good wrestlers over at American Top Team. Guys that wrestled their whole lives, All-Americans, national champions. And dude, this guy can wrestle defensively. Now, he never uses his wrestling in a fight, Strickland. But if you try to wrestle with him, you quickly find out this guy can wrestle back into me. And that costs a lot of energy. And Chimaev doesn't have the best gas tank,
You know what, I'm going to have to...
Words can never capture the magnitude of tension that is expected in this fight. With Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland in the same ring, tension won't only be an underestimation. This is not simply a case of style analysis, but rather predicting the eruption of chaos that is expected when these two meet in the octagon. Here you have the intimidating force of Khamzat Chimaev, whose style has been all about suffocating his opponents until they can hardly breathe. You have the proud and aggressive Sean Strickland. Even more than all of this, it is a fight between enemies.
Another hard one, but I'm gonna go Strickland. I know I'm probably in the minority with that one, but I think this is almost like the opposite of Brady versus Buckley. I think because Strickland's wrestling is so good, because I've wrestled with him once. He came out here to Denver like 2 years ago, like randomly. He just popped up at the gym, and we were doing like wall grappling drills. He's very strong, and he's got positional strength. Like, he knows how to get his shoulders in the right angle and start to shimmy and get off. Like, he's a good.
Well, he lost to Du Plessis, who isn't as good at wrestling as Chimaev. But they've trained together, and I think that helps when you've trained with somebody, so you really have felt them. Obviously, we know Chimaev's a wrestler. We know he's gonna wrestle somewhere in that first 12 seconds of the first round. So, but once you felt somebody before, I think it either like gives you confidence or you're just like, yo, I can never ever beat that guy. But Sean just seems like the type of dude who, he's gonna show up and fight and, make it as nasty as he can or pretty as he can. Like his last fight against Fluffy, you know, he basically beat him with the jab.
Yeah.
So, you know, he can get it done both ways, but obviously Chimaev is a tough matchup for anybody.
So you think Chimaev gets it done?
According to Tim Welch, Sean Strickland is incredibly difficult to put away as he just keeps getting back up, particularly since he has the cage in his back. It is probable that he will walk into the bout in excellent condition with a good size advantage and also be able to go the distance for 5 tough rounds. In preparation for Khamzat Chimaev, his coach Eric Nixick forces him to drill non-stop takedowns on larger, fresh fighters.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, me too. It seems like, I mean, just watching Sean Strickland, he literally is a black belt at getting up, especially when there's a cage there, there's a wall there for him to get up on, and he's not a small guy. He's going to go in there probably 200 and probably close to 210. He's going to go in there with some big size, ready for 5 rounds. And you know those guys, you know Coach Eric Nixick. I remember asking him in the past, like, how do you even prepare for someone like Khamzat? They said just getting fresh guys, fresh big wrestlers, and just having them shoot on him multiple times over and over and over and over. Again, when you're training that hard, then you're, because you see Strickland when he's at a fight camp, he's looking 215, 220. So you're training that hard on depleted calories. Hopefully he gets to the fight healthy, but God damn it. God damn.
And there lies the genius of Tim Welch's panel discussion, for if this comes true for Strickland, this will be more than just a victory. It will be a streak that will turn the whole division upside down. Striking down Izzy was impressive enough, but defeating Chimaev after that would be truly unexpected. What makes matters worse is that the two fighters have trained together in the past and have become familiar with each other's moves. It is because of this familiarity that the trash talking is now starting to become very personal.
Can you imagine Sean Strickland going off? I mean, upsetting Izzy, then he upsets Khamzat Chimaev.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be
fucking
good.
wild.
So,
because he's making fun of he's talking shit like he called him a Chechen cunt, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
yeah. He's like bringing up all like the Kadyrov stuff and like he's and they train together as well. So there's a.
Moreover, it's obvious that Arman Sarukian's heart lies on one side of the ring. His buddy Khamzat Chimaev is the man he's rooting for against all odds here. However, the Armenian grappler recognizes that no bout is predictable. He acknowledges that Sean Strickland possesses the type of fighting spirit that can throw off any plans that have been made. Sarukian knows very well that although Chimaev might be favored going into the bout, Strickland is precisely the type of fighter that will make him regret any overconfidence.
Yeah, it's a tough fight. You never know. Even Khamzat, my friend, is my brother, but you never know. It's a fight, and second, Strickland is tough fighter. So he has a lot of good things.
Masvidal makes some very straightforward comments about Strickland, who he claims is among that rare breed of fighters who are simply impossible to hold back once they start executing their game plan. Masvidal explains that despite any number of takedowns made by Chimaev, Strickland always ends up back on his feet so fast that it takes an emotional toll on his opponents. This repeated return, Masvidal believes, is what annoys his opponents. On the other hand, though, Masvidal is not entirely convinced about all the hype surrounding Khamzat Chimaev, especially considering events such as the last-minute bout against Kamaru Usman.
Sean Strickland is different. I've seen Sean's come out to American Top Team a couple times. I've also seen Sean training. You could take Sean down, and that's very hard, but it's even harder to hold this guy down. And I've seen him go with good wrestlers. So Chimaev might get a takedown or two on him, but he's going to get so tired because Sean always finds a way back to his feet. And he has a system that he follows, that he does it to everybody. He gets taken down, he's right back up. And that demoralizes people. I take you down and invest XYZ energy on getting you down, and then you're up within seconds.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's hurting now because I'm like, I
yeah.
didn't even get to catch my breath when I took you down. And Chimaev, to me, though he looked great in that DDP fight, I don't think he's all that good, man. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
Nah, I just know it.
Really?
I don't think so, man. I mean, look at the Usman fight. Usman was a 170-pounder. Took the fight in 11 days' notice. And funny story, I seen Usman like 2 days before he took that fight out and about. I was out in Miami at a place known to stay open until like 6 a.m.
Masvidal talks about the madness that ensued before he entered the cage, then launches into a no-nonsense critique of Chimaev's performance in his fight with Kamaru Usman. Masvidal disputes the narrative of that particular bout by stating that things were not one-sided as everyone believed. In fact, the momentum had switched hands even for Usman by round 2 despite being an emergency fill-in fighter. According to him, Chimaev got an early win but struggled as time wore on, being slowed down and pressed into submission by rounds.
My boy, I'm like, yo, what's up? Well, actually, I was like facing this when somebody touches me on the back, like kind of aggressive, and then I go, God be with you, I'm about to fucking, so who the fuck is, it's too late for anybody to fucking touch me that I don't know. And I turn around and Usman, he's like, what's up? I'm like, what the fuck you doing? He's like, man, same thing as you, I'm just chill out. I was like, all right. You know, so we chilled out for a little bit. I went my way, he went his way. And then I see, like, if it's not the next day, it's like the day after that, Usman's going to fucking Abu Dhabi, where the fuck he was going to fight Chimaev. I thought Chimaev lost that fight.
What?
He won the first round. Look at the tape. He won the first round, lost the second and third, didn't get more takedowns. Got stuffed up and got punched in the face more. So I definitely thought Usman won. That's a 170-pounder that's coming off the couch. Literally. He's not training. He's not living that life. You know?
The notion that some people may be untouchable in this division, even the likes of Khamzat Chimaev, does not entirely resonate with Darren Till. The former recognizes the threat posed by Chimaev and how serious he takes his training, stating that such dedication speaks volumes about his understanding of the dangers he faces each time he steps into the cage. However, Till remains cautious about declaring Chimaev unbeatable in the octagon. While the UFC fighter believes that most people struggle against such intensity, there is one fighter who emerges as an outlier.
Someone who's trained with Khamzat, who's spent time with him, can anyone actually beat him in the middleweight division, or do you feel like that's too big of a test for the rest of the guys at 185?
Anyone's beatable. Look, obviously, he knows that himself. That's why he trains so hard. He's not stupid. Right now, with the current state of the middleweight division, I don't see anyone maybe beating him. Maybe Sean's probably got the best chance, if that. But in this era now, no. I think he's going to be too dominant for the middle. I don't see any middleweights. Look, Paulo Costa's a good fight because Paulo is big and strong. I do like that fight as well. I know there's a big beef there. See you later, guys. Have a good one. See you later. Yeah, see you later, mate. Sorry, just saying to that, lads. I think, I think for me, the fight that waters my mouth the most is the Sean Strickland fight, and obviously we're getting that now. But no, I don't see many coming close to him in this era now.
Last question.
According to Dan Hardy, there comes a point in this fight where things could take an ugly turn for Hardy. Should Chimaev come out blazing hot in the beginning and then fail to put away his opponent, that is when it will start to become a difficult night. At any sign of tiring, even the smallest intake of air or shaking of the arm, Strickland feels himself gaining confidence. Once he starts feeling confident, Strickland goes all in, throwing hard and fast punches at odd angles.
Even if Chimaev has an incredible first 2 rounds, but he's not able to put Strickland away, the moment where Strickland sees Chimaev just take a deep breath or shake his arms out or something, he gets a surge in confidence, and then you've got Strickland in your face. And a confident Strickland takes a lot more chances and throws a lot harder. And because he's right on your front foot and his punches come at weird angles, he kind of whips his punches, and it's not always about the power. It's always about the contact. It's the withering, the paper cut pace, as Laura Sanko said, the wearing down of people. You know, even though Chimaev has an incredible pace.
Hardy keeps analyzing this from the strategic side and thinks that if he were coaching Chimaev, then not only would the strategy be to keep throwing him into a wrestler, but also timing. By delaying the takedown attempts to later rounds, the opponent can't predict what Hardy might do. The coach mentions examples such as Chimaev dominating Dricus du Plessis for almost the entire first round by using his wrestling skills, and there were moments when Chimaev got out of the hold. However, Hardy suggests changing this tactic from an aggressive approach to one that uses control and infliction of pain.
If I'm in Chimaev's camp, I'm trying to hold him back a little bit. I'm trying to pace his takedown so it's not so obvious that it's coming in the first 15 seconds like it almost is. I mean, you literally look at the control that he has over people, over a round, and it's... I'm just going to pull up... Here we go. So this is Dricus Chimaev. The first 2 rounds, he had 4 minutes, 47 seconds of control. That's 13 seconds of control that got away from him. And it was 14 seconds in the 3rd round. I would be looking at extending those moments out. So it's less about
almost 5 minutes in control and more about 3 minutes of control with damage and a bit more of a measured pace.
On the other hand, Curtis Blaydes has a slight edge towards Strickland here, despite admitting that this might be a controversial choice. According to him, this is comparable to another form of stylistic bout that he has gone through before when he trained against Strickland in Denver during wall grappling training sessions. It's not just about strength in this case, but also being able to use your shoulders in positioning, framing, and angling yourself to escape from difficult positions. From this experience, Blaydes concludes that Strickland is an underrated grappler.
Another hard one, but I'm gonna go Strickland. I know I'm probably in a minority with that one, but I think this is almost like the opposite of Brady versus Buckley. I think because Strickland's wrestling is so good, because I've wrestled with him once. He came out here to Denver like 2 years ago, like randomly. He just popped up at the gym and we were doing like wall grappling drills. He's very strong and he's got positional strength. Like he knows how to get his shoulders in the right angle and start to shimmy and get off. Like he's a good.
Blaydes makes a bold statement with his choice of Strickland, even going as far as admitting that he may be in the minority. Blaydes states that his choice is based on personal experience, having trained with Strickland in Denver and seeing firsthand how strong and positionally savvy Strickland is during the wall work. For the stand-up game, Blaydes thinks it is more evenly matched than expected, but Strickland makes up for technical deficits with his high-volume attack. If the fight goes deep in the water, however, Blaydes believes it favors Strickland over Chimaev.
A very good grappler, and I think in the striking department, I think it's even. I think the volume that he presents, that makes up for maybe his technique not being the cleanest, but he just has so much volume. I think unless Khamzat's able to catch him, which is possible, but I don't think Khamzat beats him in a decision. I think if it goes decision, it goes.
Youssef Zalal brings about a change in tone from the back and forth discussion, emphasizing the fact that he perceives Chimaev to be on an entirely different level altogether. While everyone else is debating on strategies and finding ways to win against him, Zalal seems to believe that Chimaev is a notch above his opponents because of where he is right now. However, what piques his interest most about the fight is everything else surrounding it.
Strickland.
I think Khamzat, that fool is on a different league right now. I think it's gonna be interesting. I gotta see how much security they're gonna have in that fight.
Then Michael Chiesa openly leans toward Chimaev here, saying he just looks like the more complete fighter right now. He praises his ability to overwhelm opponents and take control of fights at a high level. Still, he admits picking against Strickland isn't easy and probably won't be popular, but from his view, Chimaev holds the clearer edge going into this matchup.
Hard, but we'll see.
Chimaev. I mean, dude, Chimaev's sick. I mean, let's be honest. Strickland's gonna hate me for this, but I think
Waldo Cortez Acosta is balanced as far as analyzing these two contenders goes because he knows very well that each of them poses significant challenges to the other guy. While praising the capabilities and power that Chimaev brings into the ring, Cortez Acosta highlights the ability of Strickland to develop an aggressive approach that is hard to neutralize and control at all. The fighter's linear pressure, toughness, and cardiovascular capabilities may prove crucial when the bout is taking place for several minutes already.
Chimaev's the guy.
Oh, it's hard too because I do guys, strong guys, but I think I would put Strickland. Strickland is have a lot of good defense for the takedowns. And the Strickland have a more stamina. There was be a puncher, striking in the.
Whereas Adrian Yanez gives Chimaev the nod, but not without respect for both sides of the matchup. He admits Strickland carries underrated jiu-jitsu and solid defensive instincts, making him harder to break than people think. Still, he points out that facing someone like Khamzat Chimaev is a different level of problem entirely, pure pressure, power, and pace. In the end, while he expects a competitive fight, he still leans toward Chimaev getting the win.
And defeat.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. I do think Khamzat's going to go out there and win. But again, Sean Strickland, he has some pretty underrated jiu-jitsu. But at the same time, man, he's going against a monster like Khamzat, man. That's going to be a really good fight.
Azamat Murzakanov continues that same line of thought, agreeing with others who see Chimaev as the favorite, but stressing it won't come easy. He respects Strickland's toughness and durability, noting he's the type of opponent who can stay dangerous deep into a fight and absorb serious pressure without breaking. Still, despite that resistance, Murzakanov believes the overall level and control of Chimaev should be enough to overcome the challenge. In his view, it's a harder test than usual, but still one that ends with the champion retaining the belt.
I do think Khamzat takes the win, though.
Ну, я думаю, мне кажется, он защитит. I believe still he will defend his title, Chimaev, in that fight. Although Strickland is very durable and tough opponent, but Khamzat probably will have harder opponent. But nonetheless, Khamzat will still defend.
Davey Grant calls it a high-level matchup, but still leans toward Chimaev, saying the overall pressure and dominance of Chimaev gives him the edge. At the same time, he's quick to highlight how underrated Strickland's game is, especially his sneaky defensive wrestling that seems to hold up even against elite competition. Grant points out how unusual it is. Strickland doesn't always look technical on paper, yet consistently performs well against top-level fighters. In the end, he expects Chimaev to win, but still sees Strickland making it far more competitive than people assume.
Belt.
Right, so that's another good fight. I mean, I'd probably have to go towards Khamzat. I think he's but like Sean's got some sneaky wrestling, like defense, and it's weird because you look at Sean's style and you think, how does he do that? But he does it to the top guys. You know, it's like I think it's crazy how good Sean fights when with that style against the best guys. So yeah, I'll probably go Khamzat, but
Elijah Smith doesn't hesitate with his pick, backing Chimaev after being impressed by how dominant he looked against Dricus du Plessis. In his view, that kind of performance showed a level of control and dismantling ability that could translate against anyone in the division. Because of that, he doesn't see a clear reason why Strickland would be the one to stop that momentum, making his choice a confident one heading into the fight.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go Usman. He the way how he dismantled DDP, I was like, yo, I don't see why he couldn't do that against anybody in the division. So
Eric Anders builds on that same idea, pointing out that the history between them adds another layer to this matchup. Having trained together means Strickland has already felt what he's dealing with, but that can either build confidence or do the opposite. He notes that while Strickland can fight ugly or clean depending on what's needed, Chimaev's wrestling threat is immediate and constant from the opening seconds. Even with that unpredictability, Anders leans toward Chimaev, seeing him as the more difficult problem to solve over the course of a fight.
Well, you know, he lost to du Plessis, who isn't as good at wrestling as Chimaev. But they've trained together, and I think that helps when you've trained with somebody, so you really have felt them. Obviously, we know Chimaev's a wrestler. We know he's going to wrestle somewhere in that first 12 seconds of the first round. So, you know, but once you felt somebody before, I think it either, like, gives you confidence or you're just like, yo, I can never, ever beat that guy. But, you know, Sean just seems like the type of dude who, you know, he's going to show up and fight and, you know, make it as nasty as he can or pretty as he can. Like his last fight against Fluffy, you know, he basically beat him with a jab.
Yeah.
So, you know, he can get it done both ways, but obviously Chimaev is a tough matchup for anybody.
So you think Chimaev gets it done?
Whereas Ethan Ewing keeps it straightforward, siding with Chimaev and pointing to the wrestling as the key difference. He notes that while Strickland's patience and upright stance work well on the feet, they could leave openings for takedowns against someone this aggressive. In his view, Chimaev's ability to close distance and drag opponents to the ground is something very few have been able to stop. Because of that, he expects Chimaev to impose his game early and take control before Strickland can really settle into his rhythm.
Khamzat Chimaev, I think he takes him down and mauls him. You know, Sean's very patient, but I think the way he stands up tall and just the way that nobody even comes close to stuffing Khamzat's takedowns, yeah, Khamzat's going to take him down. And
Gage Young goes against the grain here, backing Strickland while acknowledging how tricky he is to read. He points out that despite the criticism around his personality, Strickland's striking and awkward rhythm make him genuinely effective at range. He also suggests that Chimaev thrives most when he can impose physical control rather than staying at distance. With that in mind, Young highlights Strickland's underrated takedown defense as a potential equalizer, and while he admits it's a tough call, he's siding with Strickland to pull it off.
Man, Sean Strickland's a tricky one, man. It's like he gets a lot of hate, you know. I know his personality's big, but he's really good at what he does. His stand-up is tricky. Khamzat's kind of a bully fighter, and I think when he's getting a hold of you because he's not as comfortable with the stand-up and at range and stuff. And I think Sean Strickland's ability to defend takedowns is kind of slept on as well. I'm gonna go with the...
Then Grant Dawson leans toward Chimaev, but adds an interesting layer to the discussion. He points out that while Strickland's performance against Anthony Hernandez showed he can handle grappling exchanges, people often overlook Chimaev's striking. Dawson reminds that when wrestling wasn't enough, like in the fight with Gilbert Burns, Chimaev proved he can stand and trade as well. That versatility, in his view, is what makes him so dangerous, and ultimately why he's picking him to get the job done.
Yeah, Khamzat, I would think. I'm interested to see how well... I was impressed with the Fluffy Hernandez fight because I'm a big Fluffy fan. So I'm interested to see how he does against the grappling. But people forget that Chimaev can strike too. Like, yeah, he likes to wrestle, but we're forgetting about when you fought Gilbert Burns and he couldn't keep the takedown and he struck. I'm very interested to see how that fight goes.
Jamie Lynn Horth admits this is a tough one to call, pointing out how frustrating and unorthodox Strickland can be to deal with. She highlights his awkward style and toughness, noting he's the kind of fighter who makes things uncomfortable for anyone. Still, despite that, she leans toward Chimaev, feeling his overall pressure and ability to impose his game give him the edge in the end.
Ooh, I mean, that's such a tough one. I mean, Strickland's so annoying, and his style is very unorthodox to me. It's very hard to pick up on. He's a dog, but I think I'm gonna have to go with...
So what do you think? Who wins this bout? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest news from the fight world.